And by the way, coming out of COVID,
true,
and unintended inflation. But look, Pat, I enjoy this, and I love chatting with you. But brother, again, just be real with me. I'm not a Democrat. You can call me a son of a bitch and a dishonest opportunist. I'm not a Democrat.
Patrick Bet-David brought on Joe Walsh live on the PBD Podcast on the Value Time YouTube channel. And just as you can imagine, on just about almost any Patrick Bet-David, things got heated, and things got really heated with Joe Walsh and Patrick Bet-David when they talked about this one specific topic live on the PBD Podcast. So let's go ahead and get into this clip here where Patrick Bet-David and Joe Walsh go at each other live on the PBD Podcast on the Value Time YouTube channel.
You said you are glad you voted for Biden, and you said you're happy you did.
Yeah.
So you've had a year and a half to assess that vote, and you're still happy about it.
I don't regret that vote.
Okay, so what do you think?
Pat,
what the situation today?
Pat,
the situation we're in today. Why are we in the situation we are today?
No, stop, my friend.
Exactly. Let's get emotional.
Listen.
Why are we in the situation we are today? Tell me.
I asked you a specific question.
Which is what?
Am I a Democrat?
Based on what you're saying that you don't regret your vote, of course you're a Democrat.
That makes me a Democrat, even though I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a registered Democrat.
Because you supported policies of a Democrat.
Pat,
if I vote for a Democrat or a Republican,
Republicans and independents voted for Biden.
If I claim I'm non-emotional,
come on, man. It's a nice podcast, but you gotta fucking deal in facts.
If I claim I'm non-emotional, which you're saying you're not, okay.
Pat,
if I claim I'm not, what part of your vote today?
Did independents vote for Biden in 2020?
What part of your vote today?
See, he just doesn't listen.
Because you haven't answered my question yet.
How much longer is this, guys?
You haven't answered
I'm having a ball.
You haven't answered my question yet.
No, I'm sitting 5 feet from you.
I get that, 3 feet.
Listen,
so what's
3 feet.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you to your face, I am not a registered Democrat.
What part of the policies you voted for are you happy with today?
I'm not happy with... Let me finish a thought,
I want to hear it. Policies.
As I've said before, I'm not happy with the vast majority of policies Biden has done.
Yeah.
I'm not a Democrat. I don't regret my vote.
Yeah.
Plenty of independents and Republicans voted for Biden too, Pat. They're not Democrats. Maybe they regret their vote, but they're not Democrats.
But that's a difference, though.
No, you called me a Democrat,
No, that's a different, though. You supported...
You know what? You're un-American.
You supported Democratic
policy. You're un-American.
You can't say that. Why would you say that?
It's your opinion.
Because he's calling... No.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure to go ahead and like the video, comment your thoughts, subscribe to the channel. It would help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Exactly.
It's your opinion.
How stupid, Adam, is it for me to say that?
But if you can validate the point...
But Pat sits there and says, I'm a
But
Democrat.
if you validate the point, I'll take it.
I love you, man, and this isn't emotional.
If you validate the point, say it.
But there's no point.
Well, Pat,
then tell me your policies.
There's no point to
What
this.
policies you voted for? What policies you voted for?
Pat,
are you happy for the vote?
Pat,
yes.
I'm not going to tell you a damn thing if you continue to call me a Democrat.
Then tell me what policies you don't support.
No.
Then tell me what policies you don't.
I'm not.
Then you're then
I'm a Democrat.
Then because tell me the policies.
Hey Tyler, how much longer?
Tell me the policies.
Okay.
Joe, you can get up and leave. I'm totally fine with that. We'll open the door for you.
I may, and it's
you do,
Joe. You're going to be fine.
No,
you're going to stay there. You're good.
No. I'm totally okay with that. If you,
this is not emotional.
Yeah,
it really isn't.
So then give me a logical answer.
I'm not a no. Stop for a minute.
Yeah, you said it's not emotional.
I left the Republican Party 2.5 years ago.
Yeah,
I did not join the Democratic Party. I am an independent right now.
Mm-hmm.
So do not call me a Democrat.
But tell me what policies you supported that...
Patrick Bet-David didn't let Joe Walsh off the hook for a second. Joe Walsh insisting he's not a Democrat, but couldn't point out a single Biden policy he's proud of. Pat called it out like it is. If you back Democrat policies, vote for a Democrat, and defend that vote for years later, then yeah, you're basically a Democrat. And when Joe started getting emotional, dodging the question and threatening to walk off, Pat stayed calm, cool, holding the line. This wasn't about labels. This is about accountability. You voted for this administration, then just own to it. It's as simple as that. Joe Walsh tried playing the independent card, but Pat wasn't having it. If you're a Democrat, just own up to it. It's not that big of a deal. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that.
Today are working of Biden's policies.
I'd have a hard time picking. I can give you one.
Sure.
I'm glad Biden got us out of Afghanistan. I'll give you two. I like the simple infrastructure bill that of the bipartisan infrastructure bill that Biden signed into law. Those are two that I approve. The vast majority of things Biden did, I don't support.
So you support the way we left Afghanistan?
Absolutely. I support us getting out of Afghanistan.
Let's clarify that. Do you support us getting out, or you support the way we left?
I'll answer that. I supported us getting out.
Because that started under Trump and the Doha agreements.
Hey, my friend. Yeah, that was a promise of Trump's that I supported. And I'm glad Biden got it done. And I believe that any way we would have gotten out of Afghanistan was going to be ugly and messy, and it was. But I respect Biden for having the balls for doing it. Mm-hmm. Yes.
PBD, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You say this all the time. This isn't like a setup punchline. Who controls America?
Who controls America? What do you mean?
Okay. As far as voter blocks,
yeah.
Who controls America?
12%.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the answer I was looking for. And where are these 12% typically located? They're all over America, but there's a specific region that Hillary didn't visit, let's say.
You're saying non-red? Non-red states?
No, I'm just saying.
He's saying Wisconsin, Ohio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The quote-unquote blue wall that broke in 2016.
Sure. Right. So, you're talking about evolving Rust Belt.
Yes, the Rust Belt. And Joe's from what state again, Joe? Illinois. Rust Belt. Okay, I'm talking Michigan, Ohio, certain parts of Pennsylvania, the western part of Pennsylvania, Illinois, Iowa, that whole Rust Belt. You're talking about places.
Ohio's always in balance.
And this goes back to the point you're making with Joe. Those same people that voted for George W. Bush in 08.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, in 2000 and 2004, those same people voted for Obama in 08 and 12. And then those same people voted for Trump in 16. And then those same people voted for Biden in 20. Those people, those 12% independents they control America. Like, I'll give you an example. My grandmother, God bless her, 90 years old. She voted for George W. Bush. She voted for McCain. She voted for Obama. She voted for Trump. And then she voted for Biden. She's not anything. Like, you're trying to pin him to be a Democrat. Those same people
I asked you,
flip-flop each election.
That's why I said flip-flop. You're right. Okay. You just validated my point I just said 20 minutes ago.
I was enhancing your point. But the point is that Joe's saying is like, I can go back and forth. I can't be labeled a Democrat.
You can go back and forth from Republican to Democrat to independent, whatever. He can go from a Republican to an independent to a Democrat back to an independent back to a Republican. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
But there's a difference in what you're registered as versus who you vote for.
What I'm saying to you right now is when you vote, you're voting for policies. What policy do you support?
No, Pat.
That's a part of it.
The logical vote.
Part of it.
The logical vote, not the emotional vote.
As you know, most people are emotional.
I do. That's why I'm part of the 12%.
But I gave you credit saying Pat has a unique ability to remove emotion and focus on logic. But most people can't do that.
Right. Pat, don't speak for everybody. When you vote, you vote on policies. Respect that.
I think that's what we got to do.
But not everybody does.
I agree. And I think more of us need to vote on policy.
Now we're finding common ground, guys. Look at us.
I think more of us need to vote for policy. There you go. So we agree. I think we need to get less on voting emotional and allowing the mainstream media to confuse the hell out of you.
You're right. But it's hard to do.
I didn't say it. That's hard to do. It's easy. I started off telling you it's going to be hard.
That's like saying, guys, you need to be in shape. I agree. But 70% of America is overweight.
You know why I love
That's hard to do.
You know why I love free enterprise? You know why I love free enterprise?
You could probably write a book about that.
Do you know why I love free enterprise?
Tell me what.
Let me tell you why I love free market. Do you know what's the great thing about free market? Free market will tell you if you're doing a horrible job very quickly. And there is no debates.
Right.
Everybody knows. You know what's the thing about politics? You can spin all day long and people don't know because there's not a way to measure. You can spin all day long and the best spinners do very well in politics.
I think overall things did get intense pretty fast in this clip when Patrick Bet-David pressed Joe Walsh on what Biden policies he actually supports. And the conversation spiraled into a fierce back and forth about party identity and political honesty. Joe tried to separate himself from the Democratic label, insisting he was an independent, but Pat wasn't buying it. When Walsh admitted he only liked two Biden policies, the withdrawal from Afghanistan and the infrastructure bill, Pat asked the obvious follow-up, why are you proud of how we left Afghanistan? And then when it became clear Joe was defending a decision most Americans saw as chaotic and embarrassing, the whole PBD panel didn't let it slide, calling out the selective memory and the emotional double standards that come with flip-flop voting. When Joe tried to argue that independents swing every election, Pat pushed back hard, saying votes should be about policy, not feelings. It was a masterclass in keeping the conversation grounded in logic, and another example of how the PBD podcast doesn't shy away from uncomfortable truths. Let me know what you guys think about this topic in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.